Okay, so I wanted to make a second live video just to try to keep some momentum going on this channel with very few views or very few subscribers, but let's just see what can happen. Anyway, another thing that I see a lot of people talking about is the January 6th rioters who were pardoned. So I actually have some videos on here that I posted on January 6th, I think, and then January 7th or something like that of 2021, where I gave my opinions of those things. You might go back and watch them if you're curious. I'm pretty sure the gist of it, although I don't actually remember too well, was I don't care. I didn't care. I wasn't impressed by it. I don't think those people are like saviors to the republic. Although I think by and large, most of them just kind of were trespassing. So my thoughts on that now that I've had like a few years to process all of this and see what was going on. I think there were a lot of shenanigans afoot. I think there's a lot of things that probably should be answered for. It looks like there was possibly some malfeasance amongst some of the people in charge of security at the Capitol that allowed these people in. But I don't know. I wasn't there, and it's really hard to get any straight information one way or another. But I think there are questions. There are questions. Now, that's not to justify what these people did. I actually don't think any of these people did anything that was good. I don't think the January 6th riots were good. I don't think that these people did anybody any favors. I think that the shooting of Ashley Babbitt was unfortunate, but again, I don't even know that it wasn't justified. I don't have an opinion on that. I know that there's a lot of people who talk about the police officers who died on January 6th. And I just want to point out that no police officers died on January 6th. Officer Brian Sicknick died the following day as a result of a stroke. And was the stroke caused by him getting pepper sprayed on January 6th? That's inconclusive. You could charitably say yes. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of questions there, but he was not hit in the head with a fire extinguisher, as was previously reported. All of that stuff was just made up, and a lot of that was made up, and then those narratives were run with for a long time. And then when the truth came out, like retractions may have been issued in the background, but they weren't issued in any way that was meaningful that people actually saw. So, like I said, I don't support the January 6th situation. I don't think it was a good idea. I don't think it was necessary. I think Joe Biden won that election. I think that, you can make an argument that the media rigged the election for Joe Biden in the sense that, all the coverage was negative against Trump. All the coverage was glowing for Joe Biden, that kind of stuff. But I mean, I don't think that there was any like actual like ballot box stuffing to any serious degree that was going on. I don't think that Donald Trump won that election. Whether or not you think the Hunter Biden laptop stuff played a part in it, all of that is a whole nother argument, but it doesn't change the fact that I think that the actions on January 6th were pretty unfortunate. So that's that. Now, my views on the pardons. So when Joe Biden was leaving office, he pardoned a ton of people. Like he pardoned people preemptively, like the January 6th committee, like Mark Milley, like Dr. Fauci, his family. He pardoned a lot of these people for crimes that they may have committed, and it was pretty gross. I think that's a gross overreach. I mean, I think prior to this administration, although I could be wrong, the only person who was ever pardoned for anything that wasn't like a specific crime was when Gerald Ford pardoned Nixon. So that was a pretty unprecedented action. And then Donald Trump, whatever you feel about him, like he won the popular vote this year. He won the popular vote. He won the electoral vote. So he feels like he has a mandate to do all of the things that he promised people he would do. And one of the things he promised he would do was pardon all the January 6 people. Now, I don't think it's fair for all the people who were on like CNN and everything. I don't know if it was CNN, but they said, oh, well, Trump's just building an army of people to be standing by for him. No, I don't think Trump is doing that at all. I think that if you were to objectively look at the January 6th situation, there were some people who committed violence against police officers. And I believe that those people should be punished severely. Like, I think they should get the maximum punishment for assaulting a police officer, whatever that is. But I don't know that assaulting a police officer is any different than assaulting a regular person. I don't know that there's a distinction in the law. There might be, but if there is, there really shouldn't be. Like, if you're assaulting an agent of the government versus assaulting just a regular person, why is the agent of the government more valuable? Why is that assault worse than assaulting just, Bob down the street? So, I think that people should be prosecuted for, or should have been prosecuted for assault. And then trespassing, it's kind of a weird thing there because, like, yes, it's public property, but you don't have the right to go there. So I think trespassing still applies. And I think that's fair. So I think there were a lot of people who ended up in the Capitol situation who were, held in prison for years and years and years for basically trespassing and, never saw a courtroom. They were just waiting for their day in court. And I just don't think that's a fair use of the political, of the legal powers. So, or the legal system. So, I don't know if I exactly agree with JD Vance's original view, but I think I kind of do, where, I think that a blanket pardon for everybody was kind of a bad idea, but I understand why Trump did it. I mean, it was politically expedient. It worked. It got his point across. It fulfilled his promise that he did. I don't like it. Just because I generally like most of the things that Trump is doing doesn't mean I can't disagree with some of the things. That also doesn't mean that I think Trump, orange man, bad. I don't think that at all. I mean, I think that no matter who you elect to office, there are going to be things that they're going to do that you're going to agree with. There's going to be things that they're going to do that you're going to disagree with. And in this case, I disagree with this to some degree. I think that a lot of the people should have been pardoned. I think that a lot of the people just basically, like, time served, just let it go. Let it go at this point. It doesn't matter. But I think that there were some people who, did do things that are worthy of punishment. And I'm assuming that those crimes, the maximum punishment for those crimes would, like, that time hasn't elapsed yet. So, and then there were people who were wrapped up in this, I think, sort of as they're kind of bad people who are doing all kinds of other things. And they also got wrapped up in this. And so that was just an easy way for the government to get them. I'm not really sure. I don't know too much about that. Again, I see little bits and pieces like Enrico Tarrio or whatever his name is from the Proud Boys. And, I don't think that dude offers much to society, but I think that his situation, again, could be wrong. I think his situation is one where he was wrapped up in this. And, I don't think that pardoning people like that necessarily was a good thing. But at the end of the day, I don't think that the people I personally believe that Anthony Fauci has some culpability to or for the COVID situation. Now, I'm not saying like he created COVID in a lab personally. I don't think that's what happened at all. But I think that there was some things that were questionable about what he was doing and what he was admitting to and what he was trying to hide. And I think that investigating all of that is good. And I think that if Fauci has some culpability, then he should be held accountable. And I would say that none of the people who were involved in January 6th, have as much blood on their hands as potentially Anthony Fauci does. So at the end of the day, it's kind of a wash. I think that this is not a great look. It's not my favorite thing that Trump's ever done. But again, I just chalk it back up with the whole January 6th situation to begin with. I just don't care. I don't care. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was way overblown. It wasn't an insurrection. There were nobody was freaking armed. Like, that's the thing. It was an armed insurrection. Nobody had guns. I think there was some pipe bomb things, and I'm not really sure what the deal with that was. But there's also a lot of questions about there being agents of the government on that side and people That guy that everybody was yelling, Fed, Fed, Fed. I forgot his name, but there were a lot of, questionable things around that, where how much involvement did the FBI have? How much involvement did ATF have? How much involvement did these other agencies have, where they were uh, putting people and whipping up the crowd and trying to get something like this to happen? So I don't know. I just don't care. So I don't think it was a great look. I personally wouldn't have done that, but at the end of the day, I don't think it matters. Anyways, yeah, thank you.